All right, ladies and gentle people. When you're in the CPL spirit, you hear all of the Caribbean accents, Rich. It reminds me of studying at UE, where every day you go to class or you hang out on campus in Barbados. You hear all of these various accents, from all over the place. So today, gentle people, I greet you in the name of the Most High.
Praise God.
Man, look, it's such a pleasure to be on today. Welcome to expanding the conversation with Richard and Kofi. Um, as always, we are very excited to sit and just have our conversation live. And today, in the midst of what looks like it's going to be a major storm in Florida, I had to, of course, run home to the family and try to get out of the direct zone of impact. So we made it down to Fort Lauderdale in hopes of escaping the direct line of hit, the storm. So we're safe for those who might wish to know and who care, those who care about me. All right. I feel your love. Appreciate you. I'm safe. Uh, Rich, say something to the people then.
No, welcome everybody. We're not expanding the conversation. Grateful for Kofi for taking for putting his life at risk so that we can have this conversation. He's outdoor there, so if we see the trees start blowing a little heavy, we might have to hang up. Hopefully that's not the case. But no, it's always good to be on and to have a conversation about something productive. Of course, it's good to see the cricket going on in Guyana. Hopefully the Amazon Warriors will come out victorious, but
Yes,
we'll
we
have to
hope.
wait and see. Yes, but say some
We should
say some
offer a prayer. We should offer a prayer live. All
prayer.
right. In the name of Jesus, we pray for the Amazon warriors.
I've always
Lord,
I've
help
always
them.
I've always questioned that because I presume that everybody's praying for their team to win. So I mean,
I
who
know. I know. But
who does the good Lord listen to and grant the
yeah,
wish?
that's a
I don't
tough one.
know.
But you have to pray with the audacity, right? Like God is the judge and you're a lawyer, and you have to make
That's
a
a big
stronger
case.
case to the
I like
judge.
it. I like it. You're my pastor friend, so I'll take that. I'll take that
So you
advice.
You petition the judge and make the case before the judge and let the judge decide who is going to win.
That's
But you
right.
have to get in the court to make a case because if you don't, your request may not be taken up at all.
That's right. That's a fair statement. I could get on board with that.
All right, all right. So, Amazon Warriors, we pray for you. All right. I know all the Christians pray in the name of Jesus. If you are Muslim, I don't know of a Muslim prayer to offer. I don't know of a Hindu prayer to offer, but I offer the one that I learned. And I wish them the very best, the very, very best. But cricket is such a good thing. Cricket brings us together, Richard. I mean, we should comment on that, right? Cricket has such a unifying force in the Caribbean um, that it's great to see so many people go out to the cricket match and and do that. So I'm very, 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 very happy to see that the unifying power of cricket. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. All right. You want to jump into today's topic? I see you have time and effectiveness there. I presume you've come to
Yeah,
tell us
yeah. Let's talk
how
about,
to be
in a
better.
very quick way here, we'll talk about time and effectiveness. This is something I think affects everybody. And this question comes up a lot. And the question is, how do you find time to manage and deal with so many things? When I was driving around recently in Guyana, um, someone said to me, "How is it that you do all of these things?" You know, and I do have quite a bit going on. And how do you manage it all? And I said to him, it's practice. But more than practice, there are definitely some tools, Richard, that I think we can share today as to how we can be more effective with time. Because time is the one resource that we have that we don't have any control over. We can't add to it, we can't take away from it, There's nothing we could do to alter it. Someone said the other day to me, even health, even our health, if you think of our health as a resource, there are things we can do to alter our health, right? Good or for bad. So if you think about that, we have control even to some extent over our health. We have control over things like our finances and all these different things, right? But the one thing we don't have control over is the time. The time continues to clock away, and pun intended, right? Continue to tick away, but we have no control. So time isn't the thing that we have to manage. We have to manage ourselves and our own activities and these sorts of things. So, what are some of the tools that we could take to manage time more effectively, just as individuals, so that we could be more productive and get a lot more done, out of our day? So that's what I offer. What tools do you use, Richard? How do you manage it? I know you're a busy man. You're a dedicated father, a dedicated husband to one wife, as far as I'm aware,
I'm
and
recruiting some
a
others in
busy
case.
man, a busy accountant, working every day. You play golf on the weekends, find time for coffee at Starbucks. Tell us how you do this, brother.
I just I just sail through the day and hope for the best. No, that's a good question. I was thinking about this morning actually because there is, you're right, we all have, as they say, 24 hours in the day, but somehow or the other, there's some around us that makes us feel like we're not making good use of our 24 hours. So I thank you for that, for making me feel like I don't make enough good use of my time in the day. Good pressure. But getting more done is it's a tough question to answer, right? Because I think a lot of times we probably, so I think the easiest way to make maximum use of your time is one, having energy throughout your day, but also being happy about what are the things that you're trying to get done, right? And you're pursuing. And so I think if you start out your day and you engage, or if you set out even before the day starts, the day before, and you decide what are the things that you have to get done, but also why do you have to get those things done and how important they are, then I think you could start out your new day by just
Yeah,
engaging in those things that needs to get done, and by the end of the day you feel like you've made good use of your time. And that's difficult because a lot of times I think people we tend to want to have some relaxation time in there, which I think relaxation is necessary, right, for rejuvenation. But it's how do you use that relaxation time, and are you intentional about it, or are you busy doing all sorts of different things? And so it is my belief that we measure time by the memorable moments that we have during the day, as well as the accomplishments, right? How many things did we get done? How many moments did we share in? And what was that like? And I think if we can do that repeatedly, then we're able to make the best use of our time. That's in a nutshell, I think, my general approach. I mean, the to-do list and all that stuff is obviously helpful, right? Because you have to write things down so that you get them done. You have to write them down so you can prioritize them. You have to write them down, as you have pointed out in the past, to get it out your head, right? Because you can't keep all that in your head, um,
yeah,
and manage your time well. So those things may, at this point, I guess that a lot of people seem fairly standard, but still, I think we we fail oftentimes to write stuff down as we start our day, or as we end our day in the with the intention of starting our new day with some degree of focus.
yeah. I personally couldn't get a lot done without calendar. Um, and what goes on that calendar is important, right? Because you're right. The first step is figuring out what it is we have to do. And sometimes there's just a lot of things. And I think one of the things that stops us from doing things, Richard, like you said, is because we keep them in our heads, and we clutter our brain with information. And the thing that I found out about the brain is that the brain is good at processing information. It's not good at, say, storing and retrieving information, very effectively. Now, it's good on a long-term basis, right? You remember things, you do things. That's the brain. But on a day-to-day basis, the brain isn't the kind. You don't want to use the brain in that way, I think, um, as a calendar, right? You don't want to use the brain as a reminding tool. The brain is very powerful at processing information, and that's what it wants to do, right? It always wants to process information. It always wants to tell you what's going on. It always wants to find solutions to things. And so, if you clutter the brain with meaningless things, it just doesn't function right. And what you find, I think, is that you become so concerned that you're not getting anything done, that you don't get anything done, right? Because the brain is taken up, and you hear people say, "Man, I'm busy. I got all this stuff to do," but we never get it done, right? Like people will make to-do lists over and over again, and about 40 to 50% of that to-do list never gets done. That's just because we put them in the head and we put it back on paper. We put it in the head, we put it back on paper. For me, the secret is to take that stuff and put it on a calendar and schedule a time for when it's going to get done, and then have the discipline to get up and go and do it. So I think that's kind of the first thing, is to let the brain do what it wants to do. Let it process information. Let it not become cluttered with menial tasks. You have your cell phone and your calendar for that stuff. And give that off to your phone so that your brain could focus on processing important information. You know, but you got to put that stuff down, man. You got to write it down, and then you got to put it on a calendar. You got to schedule it, or else you're gonna forget. You're gonna forget it. See, Dwayne said he's at that age where he has to write everything down because he's gonna forget it in 5 minutes. I understand you, brother. There's a lot of information in that head, and so you writing it down makes more sense. My when I don't know if it was my parents or somebody taught me, a short pencil is better than a long memory, man. You know,
Yeah,
short
there you
pencil
go.
is better than a long memory. Any
That,
day.
that, that actually reminded me of I think I heard somewhere they were saying they were talking about what is the when are people more likely to exercise, and the time you're when you're more likely to exercise is when you make a commitment the day before, and then you set a time for when you're going to exercise. And
Yes,
so I think that aligns perfectly with what you're saying there, because if you have all this thing to do, but you have no time allocated to do it, then when does it get done? And I think health is one of those things we generally tend to sacrifice for. When I'm done with all this stuff that I got to do, I'm going to go exercise. But the problem is, as you said, uh, 40% of your to-do list gets done and 60% is not done. And so then we get,
yeah,
of course, the exercises never come because the exercise is at the end of the full to-do list, and we're going to do it in the end, and we never get there. So I
well,
think that's a valid point in terms of you've got to have a time slot for when you're going to get things done,
you
or
got
you're
to set
just
the time.
hoping. Yeah, you're just hoping that you get that you
Yeah.
get the time for it. So I think that's a fair comment.
The thing is, some people don't like to feel like they're scheduling their lives, right? They don't want to feel like they're following, something else. Some people like to live like laissez-faire, like, just follow whatever. Whatever happened, happened. What comes to do in some cases. And I don't have anything against the philosophy. It doesn't work for me. I'll be clear.
I'm
That
gonna say it out
philosophy.
loud, Kofi. I have something against that philosophy. I don't think it works. I'm just saying. I think we can hope and dream that works, but if you go study high performing people that get stuff done, Kofi,
Or maybe people don't want to be high
they
performing
do
though,
not.
Richard.
And then that's okay though. I think that's okay, right?
And
But
that's what
when
I'm
we talk
okay with.
about that's what when we talk about time and effectiveness, then this is not a conversation probably for if you don't want to be effective with your time. And I get that, right? Because sometimes I think we tend to appeal to everybody, right? We want to be able to say nice things. But if you want to make good use of your time and you want to be effective, the laissez faire way is not the way to go. I'm
No, it
just gonna
doesn't
say
work
that.
because I can tell you, there's a lot of things I want to do, like feel like doing, but it's not the things I'm supposed to do. You
That's
know,
right.
so so I'd follow a completely different path if I just did the things that, let's say, my body or whatever else wants to do. Um, but I really wouldn't get the things done that I really want to do.
Yeah,
So I
we all
think it
have some
requires discipline.
fantasies. Yeah, we all
What's
have some
that?
fantasy. We all have some fantasies we love to pursue, but we should not.
Yeah, but the fantasies, that's a conversation for another day. And we talked about it offline one time. Fantasies are good. I think fantasies are uh, part of the brain's way of accomplishing two things. One, it's good for escape from reality. I think that's what fantasy is for. And fantasy is about creativity and imagination to tell us what's real, but it's not real yet, right? So you've got to make your fantasy a reality, and it has to be sustainable because a lot of fantasies are not sustainable, you know? And so a fantasy could be a good way to escape, especially when you're dealing with a tough situation or a difficult situation. Um, but it's also a creative way to see the future and imagine what life could be. But then you're right, you got to wake up and go make it happen, and you got to go put it on your calendar, and you got to go plan.
Yeah,
Now you got to go plan to make the fantasy real. So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I think that's it. But we can have a conversation on that another time
Yes, definitely. I'm a big fan
because
of
I know a lot of
imagination.
people have fantasies. I got some
Yeah,
fantasies.
me
Some I
too.
don't want to share publicly.
Good stuff.
All
So
right, man.
what else should I do to be better with my time, my brother? Tell me.
I mean, like I said, I think you have to plan, put that stuff on a calendar. Um, right? I think you have to prioritize. You have to do the things that are important. I think we have to learn to shut out, Richard, shut out the noise. There's a lot of noise in the world we live in today.
You mean
Notifications, man.
you mean
Every
my
2 minutes.
Facebook,
Yeah,
my Instagram, my Snapchat's not important,
every
really?
yeah, it's important, but it needs to have a place and a time. That's the thing with the cell phone. I used to remember there was a time, and I hate to sound like an old man, but there was a time when if somebody wanted you, they had to come to your house and knock on your door and your gate, and your dog would bark at them, and they couldn't get you just that easy, right? And then they go, yeah, but I've been by the house, the man, they're home is 3 days. I tried to find the man, I can't find him now. Now people will call you, and if you don't respond to them in like 5 minutes, they're mad at you, right? Because now of this access, because the cell phone has opened a door into your life, and then all of these apps push notifications to you all the time and bombard you, and so you no longer have control over the distractions that are coming because they're always there. And I think, well, you have control. I think you got to shut them off. I think there are times when you got to put your phone on do not disturb, put it on airplane mode. If you really want to get something done, you got to shut off the distractions and really focus on what you want to get done. That's what
Yeah,
I'd say.
that's good advice. There's a school of thought that says that your attention span or your focus time should be in 25-minute session. So,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you sit down and, as you said, turn off
Familiar with
all
this,
the
yeah.
notifications and maybe put your phone in airplane mode and work on one thing at a time. If you're working on a screen for 25 minutes, then take a break. You're probably going to be more effective. Um, the last thing I'd say before we go, Dr. Dalrymple, is this is my own belief. This is the gospel according to Richard Bolo. Is that I think when we set out to do things that are good and wholesome for our lives, I feel like time magically expands.
Yes.
And and I don't know whether that's because we feel good about ourselves, because we get confirmations from our environments that we've done all these good things. But I've observed in my own life that if I make up my mind to do something that's good and right and taking me in the direction I want to go, for some reason I end up having more time. And I'll give a simple example. I think I mentioned it earlier this morning, but I used to run a lot more, and I sort of stopped running. But I knew that that when I run, I'm a better person. I feel I mentally think differently. I have more energy and everything else. So my goal is to get back into running. And of course, I've got
Right.
all this other stuff going on, and so I couldn't quite figure out when do I start back running. But I picked a time in a very short period of running, and I said, okay, I'd go out. And for some reason, as a result of doing that and making that decision and doing it a couple of times, I started waking up an hour early. And I don't know why, but I'm up and I'm engaged, my brain's going, so I know that I'm awake. And so I get up and I still do all the things that I normally do, and then I still get a 25, 30 minute run in. And so that's my personal experience. I don't know why I got up early. I just know that by adding that thing that's good for me, somehow or the other, and I'm not tired. I'm not lacking sleep or anything like that. So it's not like I'm burnt out. Just because I want to wake up and run. So that's I'll leave with that note. If you build a lot of good things into your days, and you do a lot of things that are taking you in the direction that you want to go, I think magically time expands. I'll
Yeah.
end with that.
Good point. I can't top that. That's good. Focus on time. Focus on effectiveness. Focus on priority. Um, focus on the things that you really want to do. Declutter the mind. Shut off the noise. Shut off the notifications, man. I think that's how you do it, Rich. Great
Good,
conversation, man.
good stuff.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right,
Take
guys.
care,
You
everybody.
guys take care. All the people in Florida, stay safe.
Yeah,
We'll
you too,
get to
man.
the end
Stay
of
safe.
this. All right. You guys take
Come to
care. Bye.
South Carolina if it
Yes,
gets
yes,
worse.
yes. We'll send it up your way. And by the time you
Uh,
have it, it'll just be rain to water your
yeah,
plants.
yeah,
So,
yeah, for sure.
all right, good, cool.
All right. Take
Take it
care, everybody.
easy. All
All
right,
right.
bye.